Looking ahead to the trading week beginning December 8th, next week's Federal Open Markets Committee FOMC meeting scheduled for December 9th and 10th is the critical event for domestic and global markets. Market participants will zero in on the expected 25 basis point interest rate cut, Chair Powell's press conference, the summary of economic projections update, or the dot plots for any few forward guidance, especially given the weak ADP data we got last week. This is particularly important for equities where lower rates could fuel stock rallies. For commodities, a dovish stance might weaken the dollar, enhancing demand and prices for assets like gold, silver, and oil, while signaling continued economic support. Volatility is expected, with traders bracing for shifts in inflation readings and policy signals. U.S. Treasury auctions will happen next week. The U.S. will auction roughly $58 billion of 3-year notes, about $42 billion of 10-year notes, sizes that are basically in line with recent refunding operations and closely watched as benchmarks for front and intermediate curve demand. A $25 billion 30-year bond sale is also scheduled, likely drawing more attention because it comes after the FOMC rate decision, giving investors a fresh test of long-end appetite once the Fed policy is known, as well as a signal toward ongoing inflation. Now, looking ahead next week, we get 33 companies with market caps over $1 billion reporting earnings, including big names like Broadcom, Oracle, Adobe, Synopsys, Ciena, SailPoint, Costco, AutoZone, Lululemon, Casey General Stores, Chewy, GameStop, and Toll Brothers. Data next week. Sunday night, we get Japanese GDP data and Chinese trade balance data. Monday, we get German industrial production and U.S. consumer inflation data from the New York Fed. That evening, we have a rate decision from the Reserve Bank of Australia. Tuesday, we get productivity and unit labor cost data in the U.S. That's before the FOMC meeting, and Chinese inflation data. Wednesday, we get a Bank of Canada rate decision, the employment cost index in the U.S., and then in the afternoon, the Fed's rate decision. Thursday, we get OPEC's monthly report, which will affect crude oil prices if it's dramatic. Jobless claims in the U.S. and industrial production in Japan. And then Friday, industrial production and manufacturing production in the U.K., along with German CPI data wrapping up the week.